Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews and to another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. To those of you who've been here for a while, yes, I'm back to brunette. It was time. The blue was a very good time while it lasted. But we're not here to talk about my hair. We're here to talk about what I have been reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I'm going to be reading next. I had quite lofty goals for all of the things I was going to finish in the next week. When we last spoke, I finished 4 things. 2 of them weren't even on my list, so it's not going very well. But in my defense, we've kind of ratcheted up our preparations for an event that's coming up, so there hasn't been a lot of time. And I have a rest week coming up in a couple of weeks that will be a lot easier, so I'm not worried too much about it. But let me talk you through what I have read. The first thing I finished was Aliette de Bodard's A Fire Born of Exile. This is a book in the Shuya universe, which has mind ships. This is one of 2 sapphic love stories written in that universe, the first of which is The Red Scholar's Wake, which I talked about a few months ago when it came out, maybe a year ago now, I'm not 100% sure. This book is out on the 12th of October, so we've got a little while yet, enough time perhaps for me to make a full video for it, so I won't talk too much here. It was a very good book. It took much longer to get into than The Red Scholar's Wake did, but once I did, I had a really good time. It had some of my favourite sci-fi tropes, including fixing things that are broken and revenge, which is always a good time. Overall, really enjoyed this. Excited to talk about it more. I've also been rereading or re-listening to The Singing Hills cycle by Nivo. So I finished the first 2, which are The Empress of Salt and Fortune and When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain. When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain. I always want to say The Tiger That Came Down the Mountain, because my default is to go to The Tiger Who Came to Tea. Not what that is. Yes, listened to both of these via audiobook. Really enjoyed them. I really like this series. It's a series about a travelling monk who goes around collecting history and stories and information from places, and each book follows a different adventure journey that the monk has been on. The first book is a journey to where the Empress of Salt and Fortune was once in exile, and kind of exploring her identity through the objects left behind, which is, as an archaeologist, just fantastic. The second one is on a journey. They get waylaid by some tigers, and the tigers demand that they tell a story, and it's a story about a tiger, and the tigers have a slightly different version of it, both of which very good. And I am currently reading Into the Riverlands, which is the third book, obviously, which has martial artists in it. This is the book I liked the least of the series, but I'm hoping that doing it by audiobook this time around, I'll like it a lot more. Hoping to finish that today. The other book that I finished is The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie, and I'm very sad to say that this just didn't work for me. It's very strange. This is now the, 5th Joe Abercrombie book I've read in probably a month, and this one didn't click. Didn't like it. Didn't love it. I think if I had to fathom out the reasons, it's because this, more so than any of the other books, relies on you remembering who people are and who they are on the side of. Is it the Union or is it the North who are having a battle in this book? It's a book about one battle, 3 days. It's very critical of war generally, as you would expect from a Joe Abercrombie book. And I think it's trying to make the comment about both sides of a war just being rubbish for most people who are in them. And yeah, I found myself getting really lost as to who was who, and I tried to just let the story take me, but then the story was who is who, and it didn't quite work. There is a guide to the people at the front of the book, but I don't know about you, I don't like flipping back and forth to the front of the book, so yeah, it just didn't quite work for me. I will probably aim to reread it one day, maybe via audio, as that worked much better for me for Before They Are Hanged, is the second First Law book, I think, and that worked better, so maybe we'll try that. But overall, unfortunately, not my favourite, but I've loved all the others, so I know it is just a case of this book didn't work for me, rather than Joe Abercrombie has suddenly become a bad writer in between this book and the others. Because my other current read, alongside Into the Riverlands, is Red Country. This is a slightly shorter Joe Abercrombie, which I'm grateful for. I'm about 50 pages in, and I already can see that this is working much better for me. This is so far, a girl has gone to town to sell some wheat, came back, and her farm was burned, and her brother had been taken, and now she is following her brother and trying to catch up to the people who have taken him, and it's all very dramatic and, again, revenge questy, and a good time. I'm enjoying this one, but I'm not really far enough in to tell you more about it at this stage. So that's what I have been reading and what I'm currently reading. Let's talk about what I'm going to be reading next. It's an ambitious list. It's Wednesday when I'm filming this. I have a live stream tonight. I have loads of other stuff I need to get done, and none of this is on audio. But we try our best, we see how we go. The Hasad Shattered Kingdoms, Forbidden Magic and Cunning Royals in Sarah Hasham's Egyptian-inspired epic fantasy debut. Gonna see how it goes. 10,000 Stitches, the second book in the Regency Fairy Tales series. I already know that I love this book. This is a reread. Fantastic. If I don't manage to reread it, I will be sad because I think it's exactly what my brain needs right now, but I won't knock myself over for it. It can be pushed back a week if necessary. And then I have my library books, which are also books that can be pushed back. They're not due back till October, we're fine, but I do still have Misrule and Shanghai Immortal to read. But next week I only have 2 books scheduled in, so I think if we treat next week and this week as kind of a conglomerate, we should be okay. I haven't added anything new to my TBR in the last week, but I did take a bunch off, so I'm just going to give you a cheeky TBR update. I'm down to 12 books on my TBR, so that's my review copies and books that I own. That's wild. I think that might be the lowest it's been since I hit TBR 0. We're going, we're reading, we're doing the thing. In terms of new releases, I want to talk about 3 books, the first of which I've already mentioned. It's Mammoth at the Gates by Niveau. Haven't read it yet, really excited to. Singing Hill Cycle is so good. This is out already by the time you're watching this. All of these are out by the time you're watching this. Talon Sister by Jen Williams, which I hadn't popped up on my radar, and I was browsing the new releases books websites as I do, and realised that Jen Williams had a new book out. I hadn't realised this. I'm very excited for it. It looks very good. Here is the cover. I may have to get myself a copy because I loved the Winnowing Flame trilogy. Let's see what else Jen Williams has. And then lastly, a bit of a wild card. Again, I was just browsing. The Death I Gave Him by MX Liu. This is a Hamlet retelling, but I believe it's a sci-fi Hamlet. I'm intrigued. I love a Shakespeare retelling. Let's go. But Judith, will you ever read any of these books? You're not buying books at the moment. Maybe. The library might get them in, and then I will read them. As case in point, Misrule, I wouldn't have read it if the library didn't have it. And also Christmas is coming. I know it's depressing to think about it, and I know that people are very cross that there are Christmas things in the shops right now, but we've got to think strategically about our Christmas list for books, especially if you're a not book buyer like me. I'm trying to think if I need to fill you in on other things going on in my life. As I say, it's been a lot of crafting. I am covered in acrylic paint at all times. We've been making all sorts of props and printing stuff out and sewing little books together. It's been a lot, so bear with me if reading is not at the forefront of what I'm doing at the moment. There's just a lot happening. It's either that or I will suddenly start reading loads more as an escape from all of the stress of all the things that need to get done. We'll see which one happens. I also have to announce that I'm very sad to say that I did not get to go and see Lord of the Rings the musical on Tuesday of this week, which was one of the things I was most looking forward to in my entire life so far. Alas, it was cancelled because the cast were all ill. Just everybody cross your fingers that they send through a date that we can do and we can go, or that they just refund me very easily and I can use that money on something equally frivolous and fun. And maybe Lord of the Rings themed, I don't know. What have you been reading? What have you been up to? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also come hang out on Discord where we have chill chats about books. I would like to say an enormous thank you to all the ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, live streams and more. If you'd like to join their number, that's linked below as well. Thank you so much to you for watching. That's all from me and I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now. Welcome back to Dead Good. Yeah, we're okay. We're okay. We're not peaking. I am down to... Oh, no, 11. Because I've read Heroes. Delete. You can also follow me on social media. No, you can't anymore. I cancelled my social media. I need to stop saying that.